Thank you for joining the Sharpest College Football Podcast. This is our Week 6 preview. I am BuckMetrics, joined as always by Robert Martin. Robert, our podcast plays did not have a good Week 6. I will just say it was maybe bound to happen. This is the fourth year of the podcast, and this was the first time we did not have an extraordinarily good Week 5. It was bound to happen. That's my hope, because the alternative theory or hypothesis is who's actually having a good season this year. This is frightening in terms of plays. Is Clay Travis. This might just be a bad year. Yeah. So it could just be that year. You might remember, like, when I first met you, I told you, like, I've worked at companies that self-insure medical claims, and the insurance brokers had told, as a rule of thumb, they said, over a 5-year period, you're going to have one really good year, one really bad year, and 5 typical years. And I asked you if you've seen that in your line of work, and you said, no, what are you talking about? But still, we remain friends and colleagues, and I think this might be the one. I don't know. We're due for one of those years, right? Are we not?
Mm-hmm. Maybe. I will say we got a couple bad bounces, though, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we have a Sharpest look back thing, so I don't want to ruin what happened to us. But yeah, it was weird. I'll put it this way. A lot of people I know and follow did not have good weeks in the college football space either. I'll just say that. And this is what's weird. So much good closing line value too, and it just seems like the worst weeks are when I get the best of the numbers by far, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, our Week 5 results. What we went over with you guys on the podcast when I'm just embarrassing. I screwed up the math here. No, I didn't. Okay, no bueno 2 and 6. I was so excited about the dual model plays that I forgot to put out my model total plays as well. I have the receipts, as the kids say. So Friday night I tweeted out my total plays. Those went 4 and 2. Saved it if you were smart enough to follow me. If you don't, be advised, you better do so now. I will promise to not make that mistake again, but might get other gems like that. So 6 and 8 is not the worst in the world, but man, our sides for the dual model, no bueno. But I'm expecting regression.
Yeah, some of them. Again, there was a lot of one. I think was Indiana, and we lost that on a safety. Basically, he ran it back through the end zone for a safety, so that was one right there. That would have been 2 and 4 immediately. Obviously, we had USC. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, just the one we both said we didn't like it, and it wasn't even close. The vaunted Northern Illinois San Diego State over 43.5.
Oh yeah, that one was brutal.
I threw the dead fish on the table, and I said I don't like this, but the models say it. Both of them.
Yeah,
did.
I remember betting that, and then I was looking at the score. I'm like, it's 3-3. What's happening?
Is there a lightning delay?
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that one. That was very weird. The model spit something out, and then the model got shoved in its face. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to my and yours power rankings here. So, number 1, the Michigan Wolverines, just in time to embarrass my USC Trojans a week from this upcoming Saturday. You've got them ranked number 7. Usually, I put the mascot of the team here. Just to be fair, I put a picture of Jim Harbaugh with Connor Stallings in the background, just to say hello to my Michigan friends there. The things that stand out to me, you were saying when we were doing a Week 5 review that you think the SEC is overrated, and your rankings really back that up. I've got Alabama numbers 3 overall, Texas number 6. You have them 31 and 29th respectively. This is what I love. This is where we look really smart, Robert. I was a little scared when I saw Old Dominion 12th in my rankings, and you have them 19th. Isn't that nice? Yeah. Runaway, most highly ranked team in the Sun Belt for both of us.
That one is interesting. I think ODU is they have a good chance in the Sun Belt, but again, you still have to get through JMU, right? So That's difficult. But hey, maybe, right? Maybe. And
yeah, no, they actually have a Power 5 win. They beat Virginia Tech too.
Yeah.
Have they lost a game? Let's look that up real quick. Are they
ODU? Oh, ODU lost Indiana.
That's right. Okay. Mm-hmm. There it is. You beat Virginia Tech. You literally a coach firing win. You gave Indiana their toughest game outside of Iowa. I think it could happen for them. Mm. All right. People are on to North Texas a lot more quickly than I thought. Let's see how long it takes these dopes to get onto ODU. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm saying Halloween. I'm sorry. American Halloween, not Canadian Halloween.
Yeah, that's Canadian Halloween's this week, actually, yeah.
Okay, yeah, of course. Also, interestingly, your model is right in a row here, too. You have Missouri 2 and USC 3, and I've got them 16 and 17. I think your model, it just tends to, at sometimes, really appreciate... I'll put it this way. Lincoln Riley seems to be to your model like what UCF or what Northern Illinois is to my model.
The catnip or something, yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
it my model loves good offensive teams, which is one of the reasons why it does not like the SEC this year. But again, the one it does like is Missouri, and they score points, right? So this is the thing, right? Honestly, because I know right now, 'cause I was thinking about this earlier today, right? According to your model has Ohio State second, and that's fine. But AP coaches unanimously has Ohio State one, Oregon two. Why do we have Ohio State one? What, like, this is the thing, right? Like, honestly, if you were to only evaluate it, obviously, okay, there's a bit of sticker bias, and you have them highly ranked, that's too. Highly ranked, that's true. But what, okay, they beat a Washington team. Okay, I don't think they should have beaten them that much. They only scored 27. I'm fairly sure Colorado State scored more against Washington than Ohio State did. So that's a little concerning. That's probably why I have Ohio State 17. Like, this is the thing. Like, and that's just Ohio State and whatever. We can pass on Ohio State, but it's interesting you have Michigan rated ahead of them. But go down the list. Texas 29th. Is that so crazy? Alabama 31st. Is that so crazy? Because again, the problem is the reason Alabama is, I think, ninth with some rankings is because they beat Georgia, which was, of course, a top 10 team. We all know that. But if Georgia wasn't a top 10 team, then okay, as long as Alabama's ahead of Georgia, which Georgia isn't on either of our lists here. So, yeah, like, this is the thing. I honestly, okay, maybe the SEC shouldn't be that low, but, like, I think maybe the SEC just has gotten beat up a little bit in some of these rankings. It'll probably come back a bit. But, like, it's not crazy to have, like, just the Big Ten and some of these other conferences, like specifically Miami or whatever, as better than some of those SEC teams. They have not shown us that much, and they're not better than, like, I would have Indiana over pretty much any of the SEC. I think your model, I also probably would agree with that as well.
Yeah, no, I have them number 4. I thought about that Ohio State number 1 versus Oregon 2 thing. My first inkling is Oregon has the better win. I can see Ohio State because I think you've got, if I take the top 2 wins, if I sum the value of those, I'd still, look, I don't think Texas is that great. But let's just say they're an average SEC team. I think if you take an average SEC team, beating them and at home, and beating, I think, a good upper middle class Big Ten team on the road, I think that goes a little more than winning at Penn State and then at Northwestern. It's the other thing too is they undid any value of beating Oklahoma State by just turning them to mush. Basically, it's like you beat mush. We turned them to mush, yeah, but you beat a mush team now. It's to their own demise, but it's close to me, and we both have them top 5. That's what's interesting. That's the only top 5 team that we agree upon. Now that I look at it that way, really interesting. Just as interesting. Do you have your rankings handy?
Yeah, probably. There is a couple different sets of rankings. There is the model only rankings, and then that plus the bit of the BCS stuff in it. I think I gave you the model one. Yeah, go ahead. Which numbers are you looking for?
So I want to point out that in my top 20, I do not have Miami, nor do I have Penn State. I'm wondering where you have those 2 teams.
Penn State is 26th.
Wow. Outside of both.
And Miami is 9th. So I do have Miami somewhat higher in my model only. But yeah, like, Penn State, another one. Guys, like, why is Penn State in the top 25? See, but the problem is Penn State's in the top 25 because they were a preseason top 5 team that only lost to Oregon at home. And now it's, okay, they're not top 10. Maybe we'll drop them to 15th or something. But maybe they shouldn't have been top 10 before. The thing, this is why sometimes these rankings don't make a lot of sense.
No, and the voters just, they screw up both the theory and the practice of it. I heard one voter talking about how Miami had progressed versus the preseason rankings. No, that means you underrated them. It's not that they improved. It means that you whiffed on them. And in fairness, I whiff on them too, but I am the first to admit when I whiff on somebody. Just to put it that way, these guys and gals, let's not overlook the idiot that writes for my local paper here at the OC Register. They don't even understand the rules of engagement.
Yeah. No, if you don't understand how rankings work and like why things should be ranked ahead of, you can't just put a number and be like, I think this team is better than this team. I think this team, it's not they massively simplify it to just have these people's opinions, but it's very clear these people don't have good opinions on this.
Yeah. Yep. All right. My top 20 offenses. One team I want to talk about here is Cincinnati. This came out from nowhere, and the reason I want to bring this up is Cincinnati's been nondescript under Satterfield. Now they're looking more like his Louisville teams with a good offense and a bad defense. And I joked, or actually was serious, when we were looking at where can Oklahoma State get a win. This is before Gundy had been fired. And I joked, Cincinnati, send a limousine for Brennan Sorsby, and then that's your chance. And now he had a really good game against Kansas. He's actually having a good season now. Sorry, Pistol Pete, no win for you.
Yeah, Cincinnati was very surprising. I didn't think they were going to be able to beat Kansas, but they did. And that was very surprising to me. But no, it's Cincinnati is sneakily not bad, and then also buffs Nebraska a little bit, because remember that was a very close game in week 1 against Cincinnati. A little bit of a buff there to Nebraska.
Yeah, and Sorsby was so bad in that game, that's why I just had given up on him too. I wasn't really excited about him. He was not all that good last year, and he was really no bueno before that, I think, at Indiana. All right, my team metrics here. Team explosive receiving. One that sticks out to me is Notre Dame in top 5. This is a really bullish sign. You've got a freshman quarterback, and now you're using all your weapons that they've lacked for a long time, too. They've really not had a good passing game. They've been like, okay, not bad, but they've really not had any explosiveness. This is a really good sign for them. Obviously, they need to run the table, but I think they can do it. And then in the top 10 on the running offense here, I just don't get Jacksonville State. Now, they reverted to form and actually showed themselves to be a bad team, but at least they're doing something right here by running the ball.
Yeah, good for them for finding an identity and doing that. Notre Dame is interesting, right? My model is, I think, somewhat high on them too, a lot higher than others. Again, now that being said, though, it's a function of we're not high on the SEC, so therefore someone has to be higher. And I guess it just gets to be Notre Dame and other Big Ten teams, but also Notre Dame, right? No, Notre Dame. They have Boise this week. They have USC coming up after that. I think they have one other tough game, but I'm not sure who it is. I can't remember off the top of my head who it is.
I think Louisville's a tricky game for them.
Yeah, okay. So they've got one or two more. But if they go undefeated to the rest of that schedule, yeah, maybe they got a shot at. I'd take them over random 2-loss SEC team.
Yeah, I think you might be thinking about, let me see, Notre Dame. There we go. Like you said, they play Boise this week. Let me just see. You might be thinking of Stanford, he said sarcastically. Let me see. No, they don't play Louisville this year. Boise, NC State, Boston College, Navy is undefeated. Boy, who wins this matchup from a coaching standpoint? Notre Dame against Pitt. I don't know. I might have an opinion on that.
Gosh.
Syracuse, Stanford to end the season. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
okay.
They need things to fall their way. I'll put it this way. They need USC to not lose any other games except for Notre Dame. I think that's their ticket, right?
Does USC play Oregon? I think they do, right?
USC plays Michigan and Oregon and Notre Dame.
Yeah, so they've got a.
They also play Nebraska, and you might have noticed that they tend to struggle with these games.
Yeah.
East of the Rockies. They won one in Purdue, but that's about it. So at least we can't say that they can't win them. They just can't win them against, I don't know, teams that can, that are not in year 1 of a rebuild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My player metrics. Top 10 quarterbacks. What sticks out here is the Air Force quarterback is number 1 now. Interesting. And if I look at the top 10 receivers in terms of Ryan, Cade Harris of Air Force, number 3, was not even ranked last week. I want to take this and I want to throw in the fact that Mike Alejado, as I said in the Week 5 review, lit these guys up for almost 500 yards. I think we are looking at a very able over team here to keep an eye on.
Yeah. That defense was, that Air Force defense, I think, what did Hawaii score on them? 37 something?
40, I think it was 43-37 or 47-33, something like that.
That was insanely high scoring. They're good on offense too, but their defense is equally as bad. And yeah, Air Force is a fun team. We like them in the Mountain West this year, but this is the thing, right? We like Air Force, kind of like San Jose State. We wanted to fade Boise, and I still feel like that's correct. I still don't think USF is that good. I think they're good, but I don't think they're that good. So I feel like we're still right to fade Boise, but I don't know. I think that our other picks in the Mountain West are gone. I think we need to get on the Utah State team there.
Yeah, fair. All right, my top defenses. Again, number one, Texas. Kind of has been the case for most of the last season and a half. What is just doesn't make any sense is San Diego State. I saw that shutout of Cal as a one-off, and then they have the vaunted 6-3 game that we referenced earlier win over Northern Illinois. I did not see this coming. I don't even know if they fired their defensive coordinator from last year, but this just doesn't make sense. Let's see, right?
Yeah, it's weird. And again, see, I feel like they're getting a lot of love because they shut out Cal, a Cal team that beat Boston College, and then they only let 3 games in the game, 3 points in the game last week. So maybe a little overvalued. I would bet them not keeping the 11th best defense in the country, but that's just me.
And we will talk about them shortly. I think we have, I don't know if it's an Island time or in this pod, but we'll be talking about them this week at some time. All right, my team metrics. How about this? I was all over this before the season. We were all in the bandwagon. Proof of concept here, baby. One of your top 10 defenses in terms of passing. The Mean Green of North Texas. It's working. It's working. From a run defense standpoint, I like this. Arizona State. Arizona State came back from that, has really just shown some gumption coming back from that bad loss at Mississippi State. You kind of wondered, I like them coming into the season. After that game, I was wondering, are they just not as good? I wouldn't call last season mirage, but they've come back from, they were trailing the TCU game, I believe, too, right, on Friday?
They were trailing, yes.
Yeah. But North Texas, going back to the Mean Green here, just seeing them in the top 10 just made my day. Number one, and most importantly on this podcast, it made me look and feel smart. But also, it's very bullish for the futures that all three of us, me, you, and Duck, have on the Mean Green in the American.
Yes, we do have North Texas futures. I'm looking forward to that. Arizona State was another interesting one. There was another play in that game where they went for it on a crucial 4th down, and they got the 4th down. They got the first down on it. And again, it's that kind of same thing as Dan Lanning. And actually, hilariously enough, he was one of Dan Lanning's coaches there. Kenny Dillingham was Dan Lanning's coach. I think it was his offensive coordinator, I believe, if I remember correctly. And yeah, that's it. It's funny because I remember watching that, and I'm like, oh, like he's going for it, and I was like, that's a very Dan Campbell thing of him to do there. And I'm like, oh, why would people gonna criticize him but not Dan Campbell? And it's because Dan Campbell looks like just this big, rough football guy, and Kenny Dillingham looks like the nerd who played video games in high school. And again, I say that lovingly. I was that nerd too, but it's just, that's how this goes, right? It's just, there's a big difference between these big football guys being like, we got to run it, establish the run, and being like, actually, mathematically, it's like, that's the difference, right? No, it's good.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught this. I think Todd Blackledge, or was it Noah Eagle? One of the NBC guys called Dan Lanning Dan Campbell early in the broadcast when he was going for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. It was just a slip of the tongue, but it was really good. All right, the bum list. The interest here is just off the charts. I get so much pleased. Can this guy make the bum list here? The bum list works in mysterious ways. Somehow Preston Stone is not on there, and I can't give up all the secret sauce, but he definitely should if we could find a way. But I don't control everything when it comes to the bum list. So Malachi Nelson, number 2 at UTEP, and yet he's the guy that played Arch Manning. Let's just keep that in mind as we retread last week. Just a reminder, Drew Pine is the quarterback for Bowling Green, and he is on the bum list. I feel bad about this next one, Noah Fafita. As Ribeye Ray calls him, Noah Sizzling Fajita, which I think is very clever. I feel bad because I like him, and his dad follows me on Twitter. That one's tough. I love the Poly guys too, man. They're just good peeps. But you know what? Can't fight the bum list. It is what it is. How about this for not surprising news? A.J. Swan. We knew this wasn't going to happen. Just a really bad Vandy quarterback, and it wasn't going to work at App State. Proof of negative concept there, or negative proof of concept, whatever you want to say, not working out. And how about this? The guy that got Mike Gundy fired. He sneaks onto the bum list. Congratulations, Mike Gundy. This guy ended your coaching career. Now he's on the bum list.
Yeah, it's crazy for it to see Noah Fafita on there. We like Noah Fafita. We think he's a good quarterback. We think Arizona's a good team, but they just got absolutely crushed there by Iowa State. DJ Lagway, number 1, that is not even really surprising, honestly. And I can't even believe call this because I said, hey, he could be like the next Anthony Richardson. I was like, no, he actually arguably worse than Anthony Richardson at this point. But no, it's again a lot of familiar names. I feel like Kyron Jones is playing his way off of the bum list at this point. Ben Gilbranson, not on the bum list. That's also a very notable name,
Yeah.
too. Stanford is doing things on offense. They're winning games. They're scoring points. It's crazy. I don't know. Maybe they just needed a few extra weeks to install an offense, but they're actually doing things on offense now. It's crazy. If you watch a Stanford game, there's offense. It's crazy. Like, words describe how bad that BYU game was. It was so bad. And then they just turn around and just beat Boston College the next week, and then they've just been okay. Okay. They've been okay since. They've been okay. They're not amazing. They're just okay since. It's crazy the level of turnaround that takes. But yeah, no. Again, AJ Swan transfer. He got kicked out by Diego Pavia. EJ Warner again. Yeah, another classic. And again, yeah, someone who's on the bum list, ending Mike Gundy's career at Oklahoma State. That's funny. And it's still just emblematic of the last few years at Oklahoma State of just what are we doing here? What is even happening?
That's actually he can't even be the first one on the bum list, because you might remember Jack Lane was on the bum list a couple weeks ago, the guy who ended Deshaun Foster's career as well. Yeah, going back to Stanford, you know what they just needed? They needed some luck. Andrew Luck, apparently.
Maybe here's the thing. It's crazy, but maybe it can work. Right? Like, maybe if you give him enough time and enough resources. Like, I feel like there's now going to be some push to keep Frank Reich. And, like, he's not... I liked him as an NFL coach. I thought he was okay. And then in Indiana, and then like with the Colts, and then when he went to the Panthers. But I don't think anybody could save that organization for Carolina. And then he washes up at Stanford. And Yobi does okay, and he seems to be doing okay. Maybe they'll keep him.
He says he doesn't want it, but you know what? A lot of them say that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This is the first episode of the Sharpest Lookbacks this year. Now that we have the dual model plays, we're going to look at some of these games and figure out what the heck went wrong here. We were both on Arkansas, getting that we got good closing line value on this too, and it didn't matter a bit. I think what happened here is, like we've talked about, CJ Carr and that Notre Dame passing game is just absolutely ascendant and not fully baked. I know it wasn't fully baked in my model. Probably not yours either. Tough with a new quarterback like this, but I think that's the angle that just outfoxed us in this one.
I don't even think it's that. I actually think this Arkansas team just gave up. After 2 straight weeks of losing single-score games where they fumbled late in the fourth, I just think this team gave up. And then I feel, because, like, honestly, I was a little surprised about the Pittman firing. I thought he would, I know it wasn't good, but again, it's Arkansas. What are you expecting here? Like, honestly, the bar for being competitive against Ole Miss, okay, you should have beaten, like, Memphis, but okay, that was a mistake. And Notre Dame, okay, you should have been competitive against Notre Dame, but you weren't. I feel like the team just gave up and just said, all right, we're done. And then they just said, okay, we have to fire Pittman now. I feel that. I know it's not, there's no technical analysis of this is why your bet lost, but, like, I feel like that's what happened. Because, again, it was not us moving that line. There's very clearly a lot of sharp bettors that move that line from plus 7.5. I think close to, like, 4.5. Like, point spreads do not usually move 3 points in a week if sharp people are not betting it, and they all got burned. And not even, it wasn't even, like, close. It wasn't like, oh, Notre Dame had the last-minute field goals. No, it wasn't even close. So I honestly just think that the team gave up, and they just said we're done, and that's why Pittman's gone.
Two alternate theories there. Number one, maybe our action doesn't move the lines, but maybe our podcast does.
Maybe.
How about that? The other thing, how about this? Because we saw this, I don't know if you remember when Wade Phillips got fired from the Cowboys. This is probably the last time I paid attention to the NFL. And then they improved a lot because Jason Garrett actually called the plays that worked. Maybe a little bit of that with Bobby Petrino.
Not surprising.
I know he's an honorable and trustworthy guy, but just let's suspend disbelief and say he might have done something a little disreputable here.
But see, this is the thing, right? Even after our blowout, my model still has Arkansas relatively high. I'm fairly sure yours does as well too. Like,
top 10.
Our model still thinks it's a good team. So this is the thing, right? And again, obviously it sucks. We lost the bet. Not the happiest with that. But at the same point in time, hey, what insane value? We're gonna get like Arkansas plus like 10.5 against a team that they're just gonna destroy. That's the thing.
Or at least trade punches with for all 60 minutes, right? Yeah. All right, this next one was not a lot of fun for me to watch, but I know exactly what happened here. This number was wrong. It was technically right, but it didn't tell the story about the run defense for USC. I need to break that down into 2, and maybe I'll do that at some point if time allows it in the future, about saying what's their defensive GGAB per game against teams that like actually have big guys versus teams like me and you on their offensive line. I think the splits would be stark there. I think it's just that simple, right?
I think The only like decent teams they played was like Purdue and Michigan State, and I think that they were they underperformed a little bit against those teams. Maybe we should have taken that. But again, this is what the model said, and the model said that they were just this dominant offensive team. Which, to be fair, they still are. They scored a lot of points against a good Illinois team, more than anybody else except for Indiana had scored against them. So they're still good offensively, but defensively they just could not. Like Illinois could just they couldn't get them off the field. They couldn't get Illinois off the field.
Yeah, I think Illinois pointed once. I think USC only pointed once too, which is a weird game. And yet the ending was completely, you could just see it coming a mile away.
What was the correct play there? Was the correct play to go for two there, or did it not matter?
I don't know. I was ecstatic they had a touchdown, but at the same time I thought they scored too soon. I immediately texted my buddies and I said, it feels like too soon, but you know what? Riley makes a good point. You don't want to get too cute there. You don't want to be in a 4th and 7 or 4th and goal at the 7. Then you're just stuck because the other team. It's a smart way to how do I say this? It's a small alternative to in Bielema's position to letting them outright score. If you just say you're not going to run it against us and we'll even single cover Makai Lemon here, great. If you want to do that and give us the ball with a minute 55 left, awesome. But you're not going to run for it here. So it worked out for Illinois that way. But no matter what, we just find a way to be just good enough to win for 59 minutes and X seconds.
And this one had closing line value too.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. All right. We talked about this San Diego State at Northern Illinois. We had the over here, and we only missed by 34. We both said we didn't like it. I actually told you why I didn't like it. I said, as I circled the offensive rating for Northern Illinois, I said, I do not believe this number. I have a hard time believing it. We will see. And this has regressed to a 1 for Northern Illinois. I guess, in fairness, I did not believe that San Diego State's defense is that good. I still, as we talked about earlier, I still need to have it proven to me.
Yeah, agree. I think we are maybe a little too strong on their offenses. I think, again, this is the problem when San Diego State beats up Cal and Northern Illinois. It's like sometimes the model misses in some weird spots, and that's the thing. But it's funny just how bad of a miss this was, like by 30 some odd points. Because normally when you, like, even then, like a total of 43, like it's low. But again, like normally teams don't score 9 points total in. That's very rare.
I think I heard that there were like 17 straight scoreless possessions between the two teams.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Wow. Horrible. All right. This one, the last one here, is a little different here.
Yeah.
I'll just say this. I'm not going with what number is a bust or was just wrong in one case. I'm saying I have up close and personal knowledge about this. Weird things just happen once in a while in Corvallis, especially in night games. I think that's just it. To go across sports here, Lute Olson, the Hall of Fame coach for Arizona basketball, he said, and this caught people by surprise, he said, I hate playing at USC more than I hate playing at UCLA. Everybody's up for the UCLA game, and I don't have to get my players up, and we're going to play a good game. We go to USC, it's half empty. You can hear people talking to each other in the stands, and it's hard to get my players up for that. And I think there's probably an element of that here with Houston.
Mm-hmm. I will say this is yet another one, because there's actually a kind of common theme in their misses this week. This one rode not a conference game, but Oregon State doesn't really have a conference, so that's fine. USC first road conference game, and I think there was another one that was the same. So a bit of a kind of like road test game, and I think the thing was Oregon State took on a big lead early on, and then Houston came all the way back and was pretty dominant towards the end of it, but they just didn't cover the 13. And I think that's all it is, right? At a certain point, you get late into a game and you're up a score, you're like, I don't really care. We're not really going to try to cover a spread, because technically you're not supposed to know the spread, but you're just kind of, yeah, whatever, it's all good.
Yeah, it's funny. So I didn't get a good look at the blocked field goal. That was actually cigar time, so I was watching on my phone, didn't have a great view.
Yeah,
you sent me the video of the blocked kick,
yeah.
And sometimes you have like offensive linemen fighting for a fumble, and they're linemen, they don't have good hands and they're clumsy, and they'll just fiddle the ball away until a safety picks it up instead, who's like more athletic. I'm surprised we didn't see that on the block kick, because there were like 3 guys that actually could have been fighting each other to block that one. It was just a breakdown.
I think in our group I messaged, we need a business pitch idea of red zone, but for Oregon State special teams. And it's because it's two blocked field goals. They've messed up a couple of punts throughout the year. It's so bad. And like you get this, like, there's now when they're about to kick a field goal, there's this moment of dread where the announcers, oh, Oregon State about to kick a field goal. This is his first ever attempted kick in all of his college career. I'm like, oh, this is going to go well. This is going to go so well. Who kicked the last one? Have him do it. Like, why are we putting out fresh blood here? Like, just figure out something here. Did you demand like another ritual sacrifice? Just get one kicker and have that person do all the kicks. Just chat some guy out and be like, it's like what is it? The next man up, like in war, but the guy ahead of you got shot, so now you're up. What happens? Do they not practice special teams? Because from the looks of it, they don't. Just horrible things happen when Oregon does special teams. Oregon State does special teams.
Yeah, maybe do something like just maybe have the holder like maybe 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, just to make sure it's not blocked.
Yeah, but see, they're in their heads now, right? Like it's just, oh no, something bad's gonna happen, and it's like it's a really
clearly,
right? Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about some Week 6 games. Just a reminder, in addition to what we're talking about here, we're going to talk about 6 or 7 or 8 more with our guy Duck on Island Time, which will probably drop on Thursday, we think. With that, boy, I'm doing a 180 here from the beginning of the season to where I am now in San Jose State. Also on New Mexico, too, as is your model as well. New Mexico getting 3 at San Jose State. These are based on yesterday's evening's line, so if they've moved, please pardon me. The thing that stands out here is San Jose State. These teams are just typically a little bit above average for Mountain West teams, except for San Jose State's defense. My gosh. And this is crazy because their defense was a real strength of the team last year. I know that they lost a cornerback to USC, and if you happen to catch USC playing Illinois, it's not like that guy's been anything magical for USC. I'm just not sure what happened to the defense here, but it's been unmistakable. Horrible defensive rating. You can see just a defensive apex of 184. This is interesting, this apex of 91 for New Mexico, because as we were talking about earlier, Jack Lane was on the bum list about 2 weeks ago, and now you've got a serviceable apex here, team apex for New Mexico. Definitely they can run the ball here. I think that San Jose State has real problems on defense. As I think Duck mentioned too, that San Jose State, no, it wasn't Duck, it was, I heard somebody mention that San Jose State, they're having trouble in the red zone. I think they had 7 red zone trips against Stanford and had 2 touchdowns. It's not like Stanford's defense is all that great. Lot to point here to New Mexico, and I can't imagine, I don't know. Sometimes the market is really slow and dumb. I don't know how you can get a coach fired by beating a Power 4 team on the road by 25 points. But maybe people just thought that was a one-off. I don't know. I'm not seeing it. New Mexico, I've got them by 9. Your model has them by 10. We have basically the same game here. Pretty comfortable with this one.
Yeah, I like it too. I grabbed this it's 2.5. I grabbed it at 3 already for New Mexico. I don't know why San Jose State's favorite here. Not the largest road trip either. This is a nice Friday night game. Yeah, I think New Mexico's a good team. I think San Jose State is in deep trouble, and I just not a good team. So, again, that loss to Stanford must be just heartbreaking and brutal. Again, Stanford should probably not be competitive with San Jose State, but still, though, very brutal for San Jose State to Stanford. But yeah, no, I think New Mexico's a better team. Your model thinks it, my model thinks it by very similar margins as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. Also, we'll point out here, I didn't put it in the graphic here, but like I said, I have New Mexico by 9, you have them by 10. It's not huge, but that's a wrong team favored play, so basically money line is a go signal on that, and I've done that as well. All right, next one, UTSA at Temple. I guess my first question here is Owen McCown out, the quarterback for UTSA, because I don't get this small line. I'm one that really appreciates road games. I would think that probably a roadie at Temple might be one of the more forgiving conference road games. I see a really good run offense here for UTSA. I see Temple having serious problems on run defense here. This is just Temple's not close in either spot here. I just don't get the touchdown difference here. I have it a 17-point game in favor of the Roadrunners. I saw your score and I got like the feeling that somebody, like the meme where somebody falls asleep with their forehead on the space bar.
Yeah.
And like you forgot to undo it, but I could see this being the case. This is a bad defense that Temple has.
There's a couple of weird ones where it's just like some unbelievable score, and it's just I feel like my model needs to work on some of the blowout ones where the blowouts have just gotten a little too ridiculous with some of these. Because it's something like, oh, he like completes 10 to 15 passes and they run like 40 times for 200 some odd yards. So we got to maybe tamp down the blowouts a little bit there. Like again, it's enough. The spread is 7. We have a 40 some odd point margin here. I think it's okay. And again, like why would if UTSA goes up 40-10, they're not going to be like, all right, guys, trying to get those at 28 points. No, they're not going to do that. No, I think, yeah, I still like UTSA, but I'm a little skeptical. My model is so high on you, like such a high number on UTSA there. But again,
Yeah.
you have it too, so I think my model is just going to get carried away with the blowouts.
Yeah, I would also think that UTSA's apex of 47 is a bit higher after this game, too.
Yeah.
All right. I promised this when we were talking about our Week 5 review in Part 1 here. Capital M, my Warhawks of Louisiana Monroe. I have this game as even at 24s. You have them winning by 3 touchdowns, Robert. And I find that believable. This Northwestern team is bad. Can I tell you an apex of 1? That would not be like number 1. That would be 1 apex point for Northwestern.
Yeah, I've got 10.5 here on my book. But yeah, I think maybe I'm a bit aggressive there, but also not that much aggressive. That's not that aggressive. ULM could easily win this game, and your model is pointing to it as well. I think your model is giving Northwestern a bit of like kid gloves Big Ten treatment. It's like, hey, this is a Big Ten team, but mine's just like, I don't care about that. You're not a good Big Ten team, so just get out. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I like about this even more from the intangible standpoint is I'm not sold on Northwestern's head coach. I am extremely sold on ULM's head coach, and that just is gasoline on the upset fire possibility here, right?
Yeah, that would be if my score happens, that would be easily within the firing range, 100%. And Northwestern has not had the greatest couple of years. Yeah, this could be it for Northwestern's coach. If my model were to come true, hell, if your model came true, or if they won by like another score, it'd be firing range as well. Because if ULM wins by a touchdown, you're already at 18, right?
Yep. That's the name. That should be the name of the graphic. The firing range.
There you go. Yeah, we're gonna do that. We got it. Yeah.
All right. You have the kitchen table ready. I'm gonna throw a dead fish on it. I don't like these plays. I don't like the just pray for mercy plays here. Kent State is better this year. They actually have something functional on offense. That certainly has not carried over to the defensive side of the ball here. I've got Oklahoma winning by 31. You have them by 38. Technically, that's a touchdown plus edge. Yeah, the other thing too, look, I'm probably less concerned about the Michael Hawkins thing. Clearly, John Mateer's been good. I think before their next game, before Red River, I want to do a breakdown on Michael Hawkins last year. Because look, I think he was okay in spots last year, and let's not forget, that offensive coordinator sucked last year for Oklahoma. He was bad. I knew it wasn't going to work. Seth Luttrell, decent head coach at North Texas, but it was just a bad hire. I think Michael Hawkins might have outperformed at times last year, so I'm a lot less concerned. It's not like Ben Arbuckle is a one-trick pony. He did it with Cam Ward, right?
Oh, so who has because they have a couple on their roster. They're not giving the start to the FCS guy?
I thought it was Michael Hawkins Jr., just the guy he was a freshman last year.
Oh,
he played when Jackson Arnold was out.
I'd have to look at that. I thought they were going to give it to the FCS because the FCS one had like actually impressive stats. The other one didn't. So I could be wrong. I looked at the stat sheet and thought it was going to be him because he actually looked good, but I could be wrong. But yeah, no, this is one where I guess it's technically a dual model. I'm probably not going to play it just because Oklahoma's going to get to name their score here, and they are going to want to make sure that if there is any doubt of who's going to be the starter next week, they're going to say, all right, both of you go out and get some reps here, and both of them are going to want to score points. So 45 is a big number, and maybe the defense just says, because if the whole point is getting offense experience, then you just let Kent State score, because if you don't want Kent State to take up these massive, if you're scoring at will, and you're like, okay, Kent State's doing these like things where it's, oh, we're going to spend 4 minutes to get one first down, and just score. I don't care, just score, because we need to get offense for reps. I don't know. This is probably not a play for me, but this is the one where I'm 100% going to see the stat line for this, but I'm not playing this now.
Yeah, 45 is a big number. What else is a big number is a defensive apex of 166 for Kent State and giving up 200, not 200 yards, 200 G-gap, 200 extra yards above the best defense here, run defense.
Mm-hmm.
I do sometimes say I wouldn't be surprised if I wake up Saturday and I made a small bet on this one. I have no fear of that happening in this one. I have just no desire at all. Just I'm running from this one. But it's a dual model play, so I have to throw it on the table and everybody look at the dead fish.
Yeah.
Love this one. Talked about this, guys, already. Both of us with our top G5 team, Old Dominion, giving only 17. Tim Beck working his usual magic here. Former offensive coordinator who has sucked at a couple places. Nice apex of 14 for his team there at Coastal Carolina. Beautiful offensive rating of negative 11.8. This is, I can't say it's the worst of the Sun Belt East because we also have Georgia State and Georgia Southern really just pooping themselves. But we've got basically, I'd say, probably the best of the Sun Belt East against definitely not the class of the Sun Belt East here. I've got ODU 36-9 by 27, so I've got 10-point margin there. You've got them by 24, so you've got a touchdown margin there as well. You ready on this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna take this one as well. I think ODU is just a really good team, and Coastal Carolina is just not a really good team. They're just a really bad team. So, yeah, I think that's pretty simple calculus there for me on that one.
Yeah. There's another one here. Coastal, don't fire Tim Beck ever. As long as we can just, I hope we just avoid it. Not like it would be on any TV. Nobody would broadcast it. But Coastal versus Arkansas State would just be a murder against the sanity of the game here. Sanctity of the game, maybe. All right. Still in the Sun Belt. South Alabama at Troy. South Alabama, did they come through for us or not last week? I think that...
I don't remember.
Or maybe, were they not a dual model play? Hang with us, folks.
I think they weren't a dual model play.
Last week they played... No, they played North Texas. That's right. Okay. Ooh, that's that. There we go. They lost by 2 touchdowns to the overlooked Mean Green. Troy having a little better season than expected. I think it's. If I look at this, seems like luck. I didn't verify. I don't think you're going to find many offenses with a worse defensive rating than Troy here. South Alabama's defense definitely serviceable by Sun Belt standards here. An apex of 13 for Troy. Now you've actually got some. I guess this is good. Goose Crowder in there who. As Doug pointed out about the Goose is out. So it's not going to be as good as what you're seeing here in the projections. I've got South Alabama. Geez, Troy is favored by 2.5. I've got South Al winning outright by 8. You have them by 9 as well. This would be another wrong team favored play. Again, not huge money line, but might as well just grab a little bit of that too with a little premium payoff.
Yeah, no, this is where it gets weird, right? Because it's Troy. One, their stats here look horrible. 2, they almost beat Clemson. And yeah, like people don't usually beat Clemson having an apex of 13 or an offense of negative 18. We haven't even done a Clemson one. What's the Clemson one yet? Right? That's
an Island Time game.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay, cool. Okay,
yeah.
Yes, that deserves an Island Time spot. North Carolina versus Clemson. But no, yeah, I don't think Troy's good. Somehow Troy beat Buffalo. They keep doing weird things and winning random games or being competitive in games they shouldn't be. I feel like it's time for the luck to run out here. So, yeah, I'm down for the fade here.
Yep. All right, I think this is the last one here since the totals come last. Did not expect this one. A lot of times I can look at a game and just say, yeah, this feels like an under. Don't have that kind of feel for overs, and I definitely didn't see it coming for this one, but here we are. Vandy at Alabama, total of 56.5. Now this is what's really interesting and scary, and my model is much, much better on unders than overs. We both have a total of 66, and we get there in totally different ways. Yeah, I have Alabama by 2 touchdowns, and you have Vandy by 16 here. But the winning team gets 40 in either case.
Yeah, we have the opposite scores here. That's crazy. This one is weird. I figured I would have, this would be like a classic. Oh, okay. You've got Vanderbilt. It's like Bama is like 10 or they're 2-score favorites, and you're going to have Alabama -3, and then you're going to bet on Vanderbilt, and then maybe they can win the game. They're favored by 3 scores. But honestly, though, is that so crazy? I know what your model says, but if my model was the outcome, or okay, maybe not 3 scores, but let's say Bama get Vanderbilt winning by multiple scores, isn't that crazy?
At Alabama, I'd say it's unexpected.
But they, based on Florida State and how many holes Virginia poked into Florida State, the fact that Bama beat Georgia, but Georgia has also looked not great in the last few weeks either. Georgia got they exploited a pretty bad Georgia defense, but they scored less points than Tennessee did. They lost by multiple scores to Florida State. Florida State got they scored, what did they score against Florida State? 7 or 10 or no 17. It was 17. 17 against Florida State. Virginia scored 40 something. Right now, okay, whatever, double overtime, fine, but still they scored more. From that math, Bama is a middle to low SEC team and a middle other conference team. Same as Tennessee, same as Georgia. That's how, if you do that math, that's how it is. And Vanderbilt has dominated everybody they've played so far. So if you actually do the math that way and you just completely ignore some the kind of free rankings, in some ways it actually makes sense. I think it's crazy. I do agree it's crazy, but you got to say, hey, there's some sense to that. It actually just kind of makes sense in some ways.
Let me ask you this: you're getting even money.
Yeah.
And you can take, Buck's book is virtually open here. The no vig book, because it's podcast tokens only. Even money on both sides. You can take either Vanderbilt or Alabama to get over 30 points in the game. Who are you taking?
I take Vanderbilt.
Are you serious?
Yeah, over 30?
They're both even money. You think they're more likely to get over 30 than Alabama?
I think so.
Wow.
You disagree. You have a 26.
Yeah, I think Alabama... I'll put it this way. The only game where Alabama's offense... How do I say this? Ty Simpson has looked really good except for that season opener. And he couldn't even start to get his feet set in that game. I don't think Vanderbilt can make his life as difficult as Florida State did. And obviously he has Ryan Williams. A name that we've just glossed over in the top 10 receivers is that kid. I don't know if he's up there anymore. Let me just kind of circle back here. He's got a kind of a interesting name that it sticks out as. How do you say this? Oops. Is he still there? No, he's not in there. His name's Jeremy or Jeremy. You know what I'm talking about?
No,
It's Alabama's receiver here. Let me go back to the... Oops, that's too far.
Oh, I think... he's got a weird name.
Jeremy Bernard or something. I'm sure I'm screwing that up. I'm not biased, though, folks. Let me see here. Let me pull up the Alabama stats here real quick. It is... it is Bernard. Jeremy Bernard. Yeah, Germie. I don't know if it's pronounced like Jeremy or something. I don't know. He's been in the top 10 in Ryan for most of the season. So you've got at least two dynamic receivers and a guy that I don't know what Simpson's ceiling is, but Apex of 153 is going to get it done. The other thing, too, is the relative weakness of the Alabama offense is an issue here where they're not a great running team. So they have to throw it, and games get a little bit out of control from a point standpoint, too.
Yeah, I agree with that. One point I will say, though, is that Alabama did score less against Georgia's defense than Tennessee did. So...
Okay.
Now, they held Georgia...
Now, that would concern me if Tennessee had, a bad offense, which I don't think is the case.
Sure.
I think Tennessee's scoring a lot.
So you think Tennessee's offense is better than Alabama's offense?
I think they're probably in the same neighborhood. They're both very good, is how I would
okay, that's fair.
Characterize it.
The thing is,
wow. I might have to actually book that action at even money on Vanderbilt. I'm joking.
No, I know. The thing is that I wouldn't take it because the book's giving me 11.5. I've gotten 11.5 on this, and I think I got 13.5 at 1.2. No, I don't need to. No, when I can get 13.5. But honestly, if Vanderbilt won this game, would you be shocked?
No. Nope.
Yeah.
They're way better than the team that was really just curb stomping Alabama for about 40 minutes last year and still held on. They're much better this year. So we have two different paths here. What's your level of confidence in the over here? We both have 10 points of margin here versus the total.
I think at a certain point it's just going to be just open season on just scoring. It's just going to be the defenses are going to get tired and Alabama's going to get more and more desperate. What I think is this. I think Bama had to go fight a very long and hard game against Georgia, and Vanderbilt got off relatively easy against Utah State. I think they pulled a lot of their guys in late third and early fourth, and they rested them. I think Bama was fighting tooth and nail deep into Saturday night against Georgia. And I think you're going to have a fired up Vanderbilt team that's going to be just rearing to go against Bama. And I kind of worry when I have to play off against a pissed off Diego Pavia. And I think Vanderbilt's going to take an early lead. And I think at a certain point, Bama's going to start getting desperate, and they're going to make Ty Simpson throw. And to be fair, it is Vanderbilt's defense. Your defense is not the greatest, so I think they're going to score then. I think you're going to get this kind of game where Vanderbilt is leading, but like they keep trading blows around a 1 or 2 score margin, and I think whether or not Bama holds them and comes back or not is going to be the deciding factor. And I take the Vanderbilt just keep scoring, and Alabama can't stop them. But that's my take on it.
Okay. All right. Are you going to play the over here?
Yeah, I'll play the over.
Okay. All right. Those are the dual model plays. Prayers for us that we do a little better on the sides and the total than we did last week. Here's my total plays. Instead of tweeting them out at 8 o'clock Eastern time on Friday night, you get them real time here. And we are at odds, just absolute odds on almost all of these. West Virginia at BYU. BYU is the elite defense here. I have 37. You have the total going over here. I agree with my model wholeheartedly here. West Virginia's offense is not good. BYU's defense was really the strength of last year's team, and they're just as good this year. So definitely playing the under here. Pushing back based on your model here or no?
No, I'm just trying to think. That would mean you probably like for West Virginia plus I think it's like 19.5 then. Because if not, then it's just, what is it, like 27-10? Actually, then you can't even do that then. You'd have to be like 30-7 so you're probably on the West Virginia spread then, maybe.
West Virginia might not score here. I don't know.
That's also
pretty grim.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
I don't know. Not a bad idea, but I don't know. Yeah, I think BYU's offense is pretty limited too, to your point. Colorado State at San Diego State. The total is 39. And here we go. My model's even got under that number at 32. You have it going way over at 59. Not sure if I like this. I'm going to play it. It's not my favorite. I'm still burnt from last week. Now, I guess you should say, okay, then you should like it if you feel right about San Diego State. I'm just not sure what to make. It just, again, when stuff like this comes from out of nowhere, literally it's like contrary to the whole coach's opinion. I need to have it pushed in my face about 5 times before I believe.
This is where I think yours is, like you had the over in San Diego State game last week, and you're immediately now on an under the next week. My model maybe seems to take a bit longer to catch up.
Yeah, that's well said. Air Force at Navy. I made the point, and you agreed, Robert, so go tell your model to try again. Although I think I fell asleep on the keyboard with my forehead on the space bar here. I'm coming with a cool total of 90 at this one. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it goes over, though. Air Force is dynamic and bad enough on defense to make it happen. If I had to say which number is more likely, 90 or 39, I'd probably just say next question. It's squarely between the two, right?
That is interesting that I'm saying 39. I wonder if there's something with the running. Maybe running is... Maybe it's like killing off too much clock. Maybe. I'll take a look at that. Because that shouldn't be that... That should be that low. That should be higher.
And what's interesting, again, is we've seen before Army and Navy have top 10 team apexes. And as we said earlier in this episode, we have the Air Force quarterback with a better apex than everybody, including Jaden Mayava and Dante Moore.
Yeah.
What's really instructive, though, if you might remember, to about 50 minutes ago, Air Force has a top 10 receiver in Ryan. So it's not just like the onesie-twosie. I don't know if they're passing more or if they're just hitting a lot of deep stuff with more frequency, but this is a pretty high total, too, because these totals actually usually are like in the high 30s for these academy games, too. Doesn't go to 90, but I'll actually go over a pretty high number for a Commander-in-Chief trophy game here.
Yeah.
All right, this next one, I don't know if we're going to talk about this on Island Time. I guess not. We'll talk about this now then. Texas at Florida. Apologies if this is an island. I think I added one for I can't even remember. Doggone it. I'll put it this way. This is the one where our models agree. You don't have it as a dual model play, but you have directionally right. I have 27 total. I can actually see it being less than that. I don't think that this is the best defense in all of FBS against number one on the bum list. I think Florida is single digits here for sure in terms of a team total, just to start with. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's very fair. Texas's defense held Ohio State to 14. LSU held Florida's offense to 10. Miami held it to 7. If Florida scores 7, then what are you giving? That's an extra 34 points to Texas that they can. Is Texas going to score 34? Florida's defense is apparently good and immune to fatigue. I don't know. I do worry, though, that I sign on to this under. I do worry, though, and the one reason I haven't played this one, I think I played the Texas minus. I took the Texas spread. At some point, the dam is going to burst on this one, and they're going to get blown out by someone. And I think Texas has enough reason to blow Florida. Again, it'd be really stupid to do it and burn all your energy before Red River, but that seems like a pretty Steve Sarkisian thing to do. Maybe he does it, but at some point the dam is going to burst and Florida's going to just get blown out in one of these games. The defense is just not going to show up. I don't know if it's going to be at home against Texas, but at some point, somewhere, they're going to get blown out. I don't know when it's going to be or who it's going to be, but it's going to happen. And yeah.
Yeah, I think we're talking about that with Duck too. I think I just missed the little logo there at the bottom for Island Time for the last two.
Yeah, that's cute. Yeah,
forgot to do that for this one, but I'm pretty sure we're talking about this. This next one, I was looking on my phone. I was listening to you as well, but I wanted to make sure about the kickoff of this next one. Washington at Maryland. It kicks at noon my time, so it's not the body clock game, but this is a long trip, and this one kind of did my Trojans in last year. If you think back to that magical game where Washington had 5 special team screw-ups and a similar trip to Rutgers last year, I need to make sure they've got past those troubles. 53.5 is literally like the FBS average here. I've got it at 42. You've got it at 56. Now, I think that the strength of my under is that I have Maryland as, I think, the second-ranked defense in all of college football right now. This is probably going to be the best offense that they've faced. So I might tread a little here just because I try not to quibble too much with my model when it comes to the totals, but going to tread a little light on this one, I think.
Yeah, I think so. That's a very weird game. I don't know what to make of it yet. It's no longer September Maryland. Maryland just looks really good in September for some reason. So maybe this is now, that was peak Maryland, and now they're going to. But Washington also didn't look particularly good, especially on offense against Ohio State. Very much underperformed on offense against Ohio State. So an underplay maybe makes a bit of a sense here, honestly.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, so 2 games we're going to talk about on Island Time, so let's just focus on the totals here, and we'll take the sides with Duck. Texas Tech at Houston, I've got a total at 34, and I've got actually 2 elite defenses here. We've talked about Houston's defense being sneakily elite, and Texas's defense is outright elite. Now, Texas Tech has a good offense as well, but I think that these are 2 legitimate defenses here. I think I'll go down on this when the numbers drop. You've got it going over. I'm guessing that's because of just how well Texas Tech played at Utah as much as anything.
Yeah, that'd be my guess too. Barely over though, just by 2, so that wouldn't really be a play for me. But still though, yeah, it's my model likes Houston, Texas Tech. I don't know what to make of Houston. I think Houston's good, but my model kind of has Texas Tech as one of the best teams in the Big 12 next to TCU and Arizona State. So it's a weird spread, but honestly, we expected Texas Tech and Utah to be a lot closer, and it just wasn't, right? So.
Yep. All right, last one here. Again, we'll talk about this one on Island Time. So just from a total standpoint, Miami at Florida State. I've actually got both of these as elite defenses. Notwithstanding what we saw at Virginia, I think that basically speaks to how much my model likes Virginia's offense as much as anything, back to your point a while ago about the second order derivatives here. I've got this going way under. You've got it going over, and the thing is, you've got Miami scoring a lot more than I do, too. I think that do you still have a little bit of 2024 Florida State in your model?
I think 1 or 2 more weeks of it, yeah, but not a lot, though.
Yeah, although last week could just smell any miss of. It's just for people who want to fade the Seminole defense.
Yeah. See, this is the thing, right? I think, if you're trying to make a comparison to, say, the Florida-Miami game, where it was, I think Miami won, 26-7 or something like that. Obviously, Florida State's offense is better than Florida's, but Florida State's defense is a lot worse than Florida's. And where Florida was actually able to stop Miami from scoring at will, whether or not they cared to or not, Florida State will not be able to do that. So that's the thing.
That's interesting. My model actually is looking at it. Doesn't like Miami's offense much either.
Interesting.
Now that might be because of what Florida did to them. Who knows? It's not quite the mush factor where you guys turned Oklahoma State to mush and you get no credit for beating mush. But maybe there's a little bit of that in play here. And Florida State was so bad last year that if you normalize, I'd be curious what your 58 total comes to if you just plug in what they've done. Good and bad this year. They were excellent against Alabama. They just absolutely trucked a couple of overmatched opponents. And then the other thing, too, that game was high scoring, but it was was it double overtime against Virginia? I think it was. So that those numbers there's a little bit of a headline factor there that requires a second look of just the gross total that we saw in that Virginia game, too.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see where this game. I think we're talking about an island time, and we'll talk about our. I have a play on this game already. My mom very clearly has a side in this.
Yeah, it does. No, this is where we need Duck to play referee. I'll just say that.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that then. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Finally, update on the upsets that we made in preseason. Your pick of Washington over Ohio State, which I liked, did not come through, did not cover, so you get the little line through it. Duck called a shot before the season, then again at the end of Island Time last year with the ECU over Army. He just shocked me with that because we barely talked about ECU in the American preview. When he said that, I thought he didn't understand the question or the homework here. Came through, though. Outright winner. This week I have BC over Pitt, which I'm not really excited about, but for the fact that I'm against Narduzzi, which is always a treat. That's it in terms of this week, the only one game.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting that all the other ones for Big Ten upsets were Washington over someone else. And you guys all get to experience what I experienced this last week.
Yes. Just as, Conference USA was somebody over New Mexico State. Like I said, at the end of part one, don't overlook. That team is sneaky bad. About to be a stink out loud bad.
Yeah, either of them could win. Honestly, Middle Tennessee State or Missouri State. Missouri State's probably favored over New Mexico State right now. So
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, there was one of our dual model plays. We'll end on this. This is crazy. One of ours was a push, and it was Missouri State against who did they play last week? It was a team that's actually not that bad in Conference USA, if I remember correctly. Let's see here. Oh, speaking of which, we get the first CUSA action this year. Thursday night action. Sam Houston and New Mexico State, who we've talked about way too much on this podcast this week.
And then next week it begins Wednesday, yeah. We're trying to get...
Western Kentucky. And what's weird about the push there is we got 5. Have you ever pushed and gotten 5 before? I've never had that happen to me.
I don't think so, no.
We lost by the very common football score of 27-22. Push on a 5. It was that kind of week, folks.
Yeah, it was a very weird week for us, but it's okay. Honestly, we had a couple of bad bounces on some of the stuff, but honestly, like, a lot of them I would probably have made again. So, and again, if Arkansas starts doing better, then okay, that play wasn't that crazy. And if Houston didn't fall behind early against Oregon State, that would have been a cover as well. There's already 2. I think Indiana was a play for both of us, if I remember correctly.
I don't think that was a dual model.
My model loved it. That was...
I had that number as being correct on mine.
Oh, okay. I got like a kind of, because I had bet it the week before at -2.5, and then I bet it -6.5, so I got a nice. I was saved by the -2.5. But no, it was a bit rough on some of the stuff, but then I cashed in on Oregon and on Alabama, so I broke even on that. But yeah, a disappointing week, but it's okay. We're back at it this week. I think we'll be okay.
Yep. And to remind everybody, Island Time will be dropping probably on Thursday morning. Yeah. And looking forward to it. Good group of games to talk to Duck about. And we will see you then. Until then, be well. And thank you for listening, watching, and being loyal. Until then, farewell.
Yep. See ya.